Jai Hind everyone, myself Dr. Vanna Sharma from Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. The subject which I am teaching, subject is Engineering Physics and the code is KS101T. The topic which I have started, that topic is Modern Physics, and the various topics which I have covered under this, we have covered this black body radiation. We have discussed about Bean's law, or you can say Bean's radiation law in black body radiation spectrum. We have discussed about Stephen's law, Rayleigh-Jean's law, and after all these, after this black body radiation spectrum, and after studying this Rayleigh-Jean's law and Stephen's law, Bean's law, and getting this result that classical theory that is not able to explain the entire black body radiation spectrum, Max Planck, he proposed a new theory known as Planck's quantum theory, and on the basis of that Planck's quantum theory, he gave some postulates, and on the basis of those postulates, he derived a law which is known as Planck's radiation law, and that Planck's radiation law that was able to explain the entire black body radiation spectrum. After this, we have discussed about this wave particle duality, where we have discussed that whenever we are having a moving microscopic particle, it is associated with a matter wave known as de Broglie wave, and we have expressed that de Broglie matter wave, its wavelength in terms of different parameters, like in terms of kinetic energy, in terms of potential difference, in terms of temperature. So we have expressed that de Broglie wavelength in terms of different parameters. After this, we have discussed about wave function, its characteristics, its significance, and we have seen there that in 1926, Schrödinger, he proposed a new function which is known as Schrödinger wave function, and he proposed a new second order partial differential equation in order to explain the wave nature associated with moving microscopic particles. And the name of that equation was Schrödinger wave equation, and that equation is the most popular equation in order to describe the wave nature associated with moving microscopic particles. So it is a very popular equation in microscopic world, and this equation is having two different forms. One is time independent and another one is time dependent. We have derived both type of equations. Actually, these two equations, they are the form of that's the same general Schrödinger wave equation, but they are written in two different forms. In case of time independent, we have equation where the wave function is independent of time. It depends upon position coordinates, that is x, y, z, and it is independent of t. Whereas in case of time dependent equation, we are having a wave function which depends upon space coordinates as well as a time coordinate. So that is the difference between those two equations. After this, today I am going to discuss the application of these Schrödinger equation. Now we are having a second order partial differential equation which can describe the wave nature, but how it is actually or practically related in practical applications, or how it is applicable in real microscopic world. So that we will understand with the help of this application, which is particle in one dimensional rigid box or particle in one dimensional infinite potential well. So that is the topic for today's discussion. Before this, I would like to highlight the eigenvalues and eigenfunctions in modern physics or in quantum mechanics. So Schrödinger equations, these equations can be solved for certain values of energy. So for those values for which you can solve the Schrödinger equation, those values are known as eigenvalues, and the corresponding wave functions which are related to those eigenvalues, those energy values, they are known as eigenfunctions. So I hope the meaning of eigenvalues and eigenfunctions is clear to you. The meaning of eigenvalues is that you can solve the Schrödinger equations only for certain values of energy. So those values of energy, they are known as energy eigenvalues, and corresponding to those energy values, you are having certain wave functions, and those wave functions are known as eigenfunctions. So keeping this in mind, in this application, that is particle enclosed in a one dimensional box, we are trying to find the energy eigenvalues and eigenfunction for that particle trapped in a box. So now I am going to start the topic here. So the topic for today's discussion is particle in a one dimensional potential well, or in a one dimensional potential box. So first we will try to understand what is the actual case here. So you are having a infinite potential bell, or you can say you are having a box here. So this is the box, and inside this box a particle is trapped. So you are having this particle, and mass of that particle is m here, and this particle is enclosed in this box, and L is the width of that box. So this is the first point, x is equal to 0, and this is another point which is x is equal to 0, x is equal to L, and this particle is trapped between 0 and L. So you are having a microscopic particle like you are having an electron, and that particle is trapped in this box, and width of the box is L, means particle is confined to move between 0 and L. Now this particle is free to move within the box, means it is moving freely between 0 and L. And if you are having a free particle, then for a free particle the potential energy is always equal to 0. So the particle which is enclosed in this one-dimensional box, that particle is free to move between 0 and L. That is the reason its potential energy is 0 here. M is the mass of that particle. Now there is one interesting fact here. Your topic is infinite potential well, or you can say particle enclosed in a box. So what is the meaning of infinite potential well here? You have this particle is having certain energy, right? And these are the boundaries. One boundary is at x is equal to 0, and another boundary is at x is equal to L. Now over the boundaries, if this particle want to cross these boundaries, then that particle should have a certain amount of energy, and that energy should be sufficient to cross these barriers at x is equal to 0 as well as x is equal to L. Now the case is, the particle which is enclosed in this box, let that particle is having energy 1 electron volt. I am just giving this example so that you can understand what is the meaning of infinite potential well here. Let the particle which is enclosed here, let that particle is having energy 1 electron volt. And if the energy which is required to cross these boundaries, or in order to move outside this box, let the energy required is, I am just giving you an example just to understand. So let the energy required to come out of this particular box is 10 raised to power 36 electron volt. Means that particle is not having that much energy. That particle is having a very small amount of energy as compared to the energy required to jump through this barrier. So because of this reason, you can say this, that these barriers, these boundaries, they are having infinite energy. Particle cannot cross those barriers, that particle cannot come out of this particular box. So that is the reason it is known as infinite potential box, means that particle is trapped inside the box, particle cannot come out of that box. So over these boundaries at x is equal to 0, the potential energy is infinite, as well as over the another boundary, that is at x is equal to L, the potential energy is infinite. So at x is equal to 0, the potential energy is infinite, whereas at x is equal to L, again it is infinite. But between 0 and L, the particle is free to move, so the potential energy is 0 there, right? So this is the meaning of this particular term. Vx is infinite when x is less than 0, when x is less than 0 or x is equal to 0. Give me 1 minute. When x is less than 0 or equals to 0, potential energy is infinite, as well as when x is greater than L or equals to L, this potential energy is infinite. Means over the boundaries, that is x is equal to L as well as x is equal to 0, the particle cannot exist because that potential energy is very high. Particle cannot exist when x is less than 0 or greater than L. So that is our first term, Vx infinite for x less than 0 equals to 0 and x greater than or equals to L. And the second fact is when x is between 0 and L, when x is between 0 and L, this potential energy is 0. Means the potential energy is 0 between 0 and L, whereas outside this box, when x is less than 0, it is infinite, when x is greater than L, it is infinite. So you are having a particle and its mass is m, and that particle is moving along x-axis. So the movement of this microscopic particle which is trapped in this box, the movement of that particle is confined in this particular box. Give me 1 minute. The movement of this particle that is confined between 0 and L only, and the potential energy for the potential energy for the particle between 0 and L, that potential energy is 0. So now you are having a microscopic particle, that particle is moving, and you know, according to Schrodinger equations, whenever you have a moving microscopic particle, then there is matter wave associated with the particle, and if you want to describe that wave nature associated with moving microscopic particle, you are having Schrodinger equation. So in this case, which type of Schrodinger equation you can apply, that you have to understand here. The energy of this particle that does not changes with time, that energy depends upon the position coordinate. That energy is a function of x only, it is not depending upon time. So it is a reason that we are going to apply a time independent equation. And the second point is, since this particle is confined to move only along x-axis, so we will apply that Schrodinger time independent equation in one dimension. So what we are going to do here, we are going to apply Schrodinger time independent equation in one dimension. So this is your Schrodinger equation which we have already derived in our last lectures. So del square psi upon del x square plus 8 pi square m upon h square E minus V psi is equal to 0. You might have remembered this equation in this particular form, del square psi upon del x square plus 2m upon h cross square E minus V into psi is equal to 0. You know this h cross is h upon 2 pi, and when you will substitute h cross as h upon 2 pi, it will take the same form. So you are having this Schrodinger equation, and this equation is written in one dimension. Why I am writing this equation in one dimension? Because your particle that is moving only along x-axis, and since the energy of that system is not changing with time, it is independent of time, that is the reason you are applying time independent equation. And you know the particle that exists between x is equal to that when x is between 0 and L, only then the particle will exist. It means between this 0 and L, since the potential energy is 0, so you are going to substitute this potential energy 0. So for the particle, since the potential energy is 0, so this equation is going to take this new form, del square psi upon del x square plus 8 pi square m upon h square E psi equals to 0. Now this is a second order partial differential equation. Now just to simplify this equation, just to write this equation in the simplest form, what we are going to do here, we are going to replace this entire term with k square. We are replacing 8 pi square m upon h square E as k square. Now the question arises that why I am writing k square here? You can also write k, but if you will write k, then in order to write the solution of this second order partial differential equation, you will get the solution in terms of under root k. So just to avoid that, we are replacing this 8 pi square m upon h square E with k square. So when you will replace it with k square, then this equation will take its simplest form, and that simplest form is del square psi upon del x square plus k square psi equals to 0. So this is your simplest form of the second order partial differential equation. And since this equation is in one dimension, and you might have learned to solve such type of second order partial differential equations in mathematics, and when you will solve this, then the solution of this equation that will be of this particular type. That solution means you will get the value of psi, and that psi will be of this particular form, a sin kx plus b cos kx. So this is the solution of equation number 3. Equation number 3, what is that equation? It is a simple second order partial differential equation, and the solution of such type of equation that will be of this particular type, written in equation number 4. Now if you will see this equation number 4, then what is equation number 4? Your equation number 4, that is your wave function. So it means now you are having the wave function associated with this moving microscopic particle. This particle is moving here, and since it is a microscopic particle, since it is associated with wave nature, so in order to describe that wave nature, you are having a wave function, and from that equation number 4, you have already calculated that wave function. But the problem is that in this wave function, you are having these two unknown terms, you are having these two unknown constants. This A is unknown as well as capital B is unknown. So what you have to do, you have to find the value of A and B. So that is our objective here. So in order to find the value of A and B, what we are going to do here, what you have this box, and in this box it is x is equal to 0 and this point is x is equal to L. Your particle is moving between 0 and L. These are the two boundaries between which this particle is moving, and this potential energy for the particle when it is moving between 0 and L, it is 0. Now over this boundary, when x is L, this potential energy is infinite. When this x is 0 as well as L, these potential energy is at over these boundaries is infinite. Meaning is, this particle will bounce back from x is equal to L and x is equal to 0. So particle is moving between 0 and L. When it will reach at this point, when it will reach at x is equal to 0, it will bounce back from that point. When it will reach at x is equal to L, it will again bounce back. It means it will exist only between 0 and L. The particle, it cannot exist at x is equal to 0, it cannot exist at x is equal to L. And you know that the probability of finding the particle, that is given by the product of wave function and its complex conjugate. It means over x is equal to 0, this probability of finding the particle is 0, and in mathematics the probability is given by the product of wave function and its complex conjugate. It means at these 2 points, means at x is equal to 0 as well as at x is equal to L, the probability of finding the particle is 0. It means psi star into psi is 0. If psi star into psi is 0, it means the wave function will also take 0 value at both the points, that is at x is equal to 0 as well as at x is equal to L. So using these two conditions, these conditions are known as boundary conditions. Why I am saying they are known as boundary conditions? Because you are having two boundaries here. One boundary is at x is equal to 0 and another one is at x is equal to L. And over these boundaries, the particle cannot exist. It means the probability of finding the particle is 0. It means psi star into psi is 0. It means the wave function is also 0 at those points. So I am going to use those conditions known as boundary conditions to find the value of A and B. So what we have now, we are having those boundary conditions. First condition is wave function is 0, and when it is 0 when x is 0. Second condition is the wave function is 0 when x is L. So two boundaries are there, and over those two boundaries the particle cannot exist. So one by one I am going to apply these boundary conditions. You know what is the value of wave function? Your wave function is A sin kx plus B cos kx. This is your wave function. Now I am going to apply first condition here. What is the first condition? x0. So substitute x0, then wave function will be 0. So this left hand side will be 0. Now when x is 0, you know sin 0 is 0. So it means this particular portion is going to give you 0. Whereas this particular part, it will be cos 0, and you know cos 0, that will give you 1 value. It means this first factor of right hand side, that is going to give you 0, whereas the second factor is going to give you capital B, and on the left hand side you are already having 0. So capital B is equal to 0. Means using the first boundary condition, that is when x0, the wave function vanishes, and using this boundary condition we are getting that our unknown constant capital B, it is 0. And if this unknown constant is 0, if it is taking 0 value, then the wave function that will take this new form. Means now your wave function is like this. a sine kx. So now this the wave function that reduces to a particular form, it is a sine kx, but still we are having one more unknown constant here, but still we are having one more condition to find it. So we are going to apply that condition. What is the condition? The condition is that wave function will be 0, and it will be 0 when x is L. So the condition is when x is L, the wave function is 0. So just apply that condition. So when you are saying that x is L, so this part will become a sine kl, but this wave function will become 0. So using this condition, what you are getting now, you are getting, let me explain here, you are getting here, you are getting a sine kl is equal to 0. That is obtained from second condition. Now you are having product of two factors a, and the second one is sine ka, and this product is 0. If the product of two terms is 0, then you are having two conditions. Either one of the two terms that is 0, or both the terms are equal to 0. So one by one we are considering all the three conditions. So I am taking the first condition, a0. If I am saying a0, then observe this equation number 5 very carefully. If a will be 0, then whatever the value of x, if a will take 0 value, then whatever will be the value of x, wave function will take 0 value. It means even between 0 and a, the wave function will take 0 value. But you know that wave function is not going to take 0 value between 0 and L. Why I am saying so? Because the particle will definitely exist between 0 and L. So the probability of finding the particle between 0 and L is also finite. So it means wave function cannot be 0 between 0 and L. But if you are taking a0, then that possibility, then there is a possibility that wave function will be 0 for every value of x. It means that is not correct, that is wrong. So the first condition, or you can say the first possibility, that the first possibility a equals to 0 in order to make this entire product 0, that is not correct. It means a can never be equal to 0. So if a cannot be 0, then we are having only one possibility left, and that possibility is that your sine kl should be 0, right? So from the second boundary condition, you are going to get this, that sine kl is equal to 0, right? So here you have a is not equal to 0, and I have already explained why a cannot be 0. Because if a is 0, then whatever the value of x, the wave function will take 0 value, which is not correct because wave function is not 0 between 0 and L. So we are having this possibility, sine kl equals to 0. And you know, if sine theta is equal to 0, then this theta should be equal to n pi. That can take 0 value, pi value, 2 pi value, and so on. So your sine kl is 0. So in order to satisfy this condition, kl should be n pi. So it means k is n pi upon L. But you have to remember here a very important point, that n is not equals to 0. Why I am writing this? That kl, in order to sine kl is equal to 0, this kl should be n pi, but n will start from 1 and n will take 1, 2, 3, 4, all these values, but n cannot take 0 value. Why I have written this? I am writing this because k is n pi upon L. If k is n pi upon L, your wave function will be this. Now see this wave function, this equation number 7 very carefully. If n will take 0 value, if n will start from 0, if n is taking 0 value, then whatever the value of x, it doesn't going to affect, the total wave function will become 0. What I am saying, if n will take 0 value, then whatever is the value of x, the wave function will be 0. and you know the wave function cannot be 0 between 0 and L. So you cannot take this possibility, means n cannot start from 0, n will start from 1. It means the first possible value for which the sign KL will be 0, that first possible value is k equal to n pi. It means the first possible value of n is 1. So from the second boundary condition, we are getting this wave function as a sine n pi x upon L. So k is n pi upon L. So what will be k square? It will be n square pi square upon L square. And you know we have replaced this k square we have replaced 8 pi square m e upon h square with k square. So I am again substituting this value of k square here. So after substitution you are getting 8 pi square m upon h square e is equal to n square pi square upon L square. So this pi square that will get cancelled, and now we are going to simplify it in order to find the value of e. So from here e is equal to n square h square upon 8m L square. So you can see here that this h, that is Planck's constant, it is having a constant value. This m, that is mass of the particle, that is that is again constant. L, that is width of the box. It means this h is fixed, m is fixed, L is fixed, but for different values of n, e will be different. So that is the reason En is written over here. What is the meaning of En here? Instead of E, we are writing here En, n in the subscript. Reason is, for different values of n, and n is going to start from 1, it is going to take all the integers values, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. It is not going to take 0 value. I have already explained why it is not taking 0 value. So for different values of n, like 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, you are having different values of energy. So En, when n is 1, it will be E1. When n will be 2, it will be E2. When n will be 3, it will be E3 and so on. So this E is depending upon n. So you are having different energy values for different values of n. And you know, since this Schrodinger equation that satisfy this Schrodinger equation is applicable, that is solvable only for certain values of energy, and these are those values of energy. So these values are known as energy eigenvalues. So these are the energy eigenvalues for this particle which is trapped in this one-dimensional infinite potential well, or this one-dimensional potential box, right? And one more important point is that this particle, when it is moving between 0 and L, that particle will exist in certain well-defined energy states. And the first state in which this particle can exist, that state is having energy. What will be the minimum possible energy? The minimum possible energy will be when n is 1. So when n will take 1 value, you will get the energy for the minimum possible state, and that will be E1 equal to h square upon 8m L square. For the next level, the energy will be 2 square, that is 4h square 8ml square. For the next one, it will be 9h square 8ml square and so on. It means the first energy state is having energy E1, which is h square upon 8ml square. For the next state, the energy will be E2, and that will be 4 times of E1. Next will be equal to E3, and that will be 9 times of E1, then 16 times of E1, then 25 times of E1 and so on. So these are the possible, these are the energy states which are possible for this particle in this one-dimensional potential box. So these are known as energy eigenvalues, but there is one problem, that we are having this wave function now. It is a sine n pi x upon L, but still there is one unknown constant. So we have to find that. So how we are going to find the value of that unknown constant a? For that, you are going to apply this normalization condition. I have already explained about the normalization condition in my last lecture. Normalization condition means, since your particle that lies between 0 and L, it means the probability of finding the particle between 0 and L is 100%. Your particle is definitely present between 0 and L. So the total probability of finding the particle between 0 and L is maximum 100%, matlab means 1. So it means this psi star into psi with respect to x, that is 1. This is the meaning of normalization condition. And since your wave function which we have derived in this equation number 7, as you can see here, this wave function is real here. So that psi star is again psi. So you, instead of psi star and psi, you can write there psi square. So this is your normalization condition. Now use this condition to find the value of A. So for this, substitute psi, it is psi A square sine square n pi x upon L, and you are integrating with respect to x equals to 1. So A square is constant, we are taking it outside, and sine square, you know sine square of any angle, that will be equal to 1 minus cos of double angle upon 2. So what we are doing here, we are just simplifying this sine square. It will be 1 minus cos 2 n pi x upon L upon 2. And you are integrating with respect to x equals to 1. So take this 1 by 2 outside, you have a square by 2, and then integrate this 1. You know integration of 1 is x. So this is the integration of 1. Then integration of cos is sine, which is sine 2 n pi x upon L, and in denominator you are going to get 2 n pi upon L. So just invert that, you are getting L upon 2 n pi, and limits are from 0 to L, and this is equal to 1 from according to normalization condition. Now what you have to do, you have to substitute these two these two limits here. When you will substitute the first limit in first term, then it will be L, and second L minus 0. So the first is going to give you, this first term will give you a square by 2, and first term is giving you L. Now the second term, you can see here, this is L upon 2 n pi, which is constant, that will remain as it is. Now this, see this particular factor. Now if you will substitute L here, instead of x, you have to replace it with L. So if you will replace it with L, L will get cancelled with L, and you will get only sine 2 n pi, and you know sine 2 n pi, sine even multiple of pi, all those values will give you 0. It means for the first limit you are getting 0, and for the second limit is 0. So if you will substitute the second limit, you will substitute x as L, and you know sine 0 is 0. It means both the limits, that is upper and lower limit, that is going to give you 0. For this second term, only the first term is giving you capital L. So what you are getting finally here, you are getting a square, from here you are getting a square by 2, from here you are getting a square upon 2 into L is equal to 1. So what is a square? It will be 2 by L. So a is equal to root 2 by L. It means now you are having the value of that unknown constant capital A, and that value is known in terms of a known parameter, which is width of the box, and that width is capital L here. So now just substitute this value of capital A in that wave function, and you are getting, wave function was from equation number 7. So wave function is a sine n pi x upon L, and instead of a, now we are going to write under root 2 by L. So this can be written as psi n. Why I am writing psi n? Because if n will take different values, you are going to get different wave functions. So you are having different energy eigenvalues, and corresponding to each eigenvalue you are having an eigenfunction. Those eigenfunctions, they can be calculated using this. So you are having eigenfunction psi 1, which is your root 2 by a sine pi x upon L. This is your first eigenfunction. This is your second eigenfunction, which will be root 2 by L sine 2 pi x upon L, because n is going to take different values. This is your third wave function, which will be root 2 by L sine 3 pi x upon L, and so on. So here you can see you are having a plot, you are having a graph for psi 1, for psi 2 and psi 3. If you will simplify this wave function, then you can find the conditions for maximas or minimas. Means you can find those points where the psi 1 will be 0, and if you will calculate it, you can easily see there that there will be 2 points of minima. One will be at x0 and other one will be at x is equal to a. And corresponding to this state, this eigen function, you are having energy eigenvalue E1, and you know what is the value of E1? It is h square upon 8 ml square. For the second state, if you will simplify it, then you can see there are 3 points of minima, one at 0, another one at L, and third one that is at L by 2. And there will be 2 points of maxima. For the third wave function, there will be 4 points of minimas. You can simplify that wave function, you can find the minimas. 2 minimas at boundaries at 0 and L, and there will be 2 other minimas, and there will be 3 maxima. So you can plot these eigen functions for different states, and you also know what is the energy eigenvalues for those states. And these are the plots for probabilities here. This is for psi 1 square, this is for psi 2 square, this is for psi 3 square, and so on. Now using these energy eigenvalues and eigenfunctions, how you are going to solve the practical problems. So for that we will solve some numericals based upon it in our next lecture. So that's all for today. Thank you so much.